Burning Issy, Melvin Burgess, Chapter 7. A tiny frozen bud was forming in my heart. The people I love were being destroyed because of me, but I felt nothing. No hope or fear for either of myself or Gil. I lived so long with the fear of myself and the threat of hell. It all seemed inevitable. Evil spread out of me in my breath. I had done everything that Parson Nat had told me to do. Said my prayers, put the fire out in my mind, be a dutiful daughter. I loved my foster father and brother and tried to look after them well, but none of it was any use. The blackness of my soul was seeping out and nothing could stop it. I watched it with the same coolness I might have watched a pool of water oozing in a puddle across the floor. I knew that in the end I would not let Gil die. If he did not get better, I would go to Malkin Tower. Every morning when he knew that the witches were seething at his mannequin over the fire, Gil grew a little worse. He refused to even try to fighting the curse. He just lay there waiting, refusing to eat. He spoke to beg that I go to them. He made up his mind that he was bewitched, that he would be ill, that there was only a cure was to sacrifice for him. Nat made medicines and did some of what he called hocus pocus of his own, but the mannequin had taken a firm grip on Gil's imagination and couldn't shake its hold. By the 7th day, Gil was very sick indeed. His temperature had shot up, his breathing became bad, he ached all over and complained about his skin felt scalded. He could hardly bear to lie on his bed and kept moving this way and that, trying to get comfortable. He was almost triumphant about it. You see, he gasped. Nothing's working. Issy has to go to the witches or I'll die. 2 weeks, she said. You have to try, pleaded Nat. You can't ask Issy to go there without even trying. Gil was determined to be helpless. He grabbed my hand and put it on his hot head. You can feel it, I'm burning up, he said eagerly. You have to go to him, Issy, you have to go. Nat said no in a harsh voice. Gil lay back and turned his face to the wall. Nat went to sit in his corner by the fire and poked it with a stick. I thought how small and old he seemed. None of his medicines or charms had even slowed down the course of the illness, and he knew nothing how to help Gil. I went over to stand by him. He's a very sick boy, Issy, he told me quietly. I glanced over my shoulder. Gil had turned his head to watch us. If you tell me what to do, I'll do it, I said at last. Nat hesitated. If he dies, it'd be hard for us all. For you too, Issy. I know. All that week I had felt a hard column of ice growing inside of me. I could not cry. I seemed to have no feelings. Only that cold finger tight and hard in my chest. Sometimes it made it difficult to even speak, and I found it impossible to meet the eyes who was forever talking to me. Now Nat took my face gently in his hand and tilted it up to his. He peered seriously at me as if he wanted to see right into my heart, but I felt awkward and stiff and tried to twist away. You seem so cold now, he scolded, as if you didn't care what happened to you anymore. I shrugged. It was true. Nat stared back into the fire. I don't know what to do, he said. We can't let Gil die. But anything would be better than this. You spend your life with those creatures. He held his hands in his face. I could see the tears creeping through his fingers. That afternoon, the rain began. It poured down all afternoon. In the morning there was a constant heavy drizzle with no wind, and it seemed to last all day. Excuse me. We sat in the house with nothing to do, listening to Gil coughing, turning in his bed. Shortly before midday, a figure on horseback appeared in the hillside above our house. He was well dressed in a wax waterproofs and bent his head down over the horse to avoid the drips. It was Parson Holden. The parson liked comfort. Although he took his duties seriously, I knew it could only be the thing to get him out on horseback to clear in such wet weather. He looked glumly at me while Nat hung his cape up to dry by the fire. "How's the boy?" he asked. "Bad, sir," Nat said. "I heard all about it," he shook his head. "There is a battle on for your soul, Isabel," he told me. "One small girl, but your soul is worth the same as any queen's. The devil knows it, and so does Demdike. I've just come from her," he said to Nat. "You might be interested to know I offered her to give me the mannequin back. I offered her gold, to give me the mannequin back, and she turned me down. She said Issy has powers even greater than her own." Nat turned his face away. "I want a word with Issy." Nat nodded. "I'll see to the horse, sir," he said. He went outside to take the animal into our little barn and rub him down. Parson Holden took me by the hand and led me to sit with him by the table. "Issy," he said, "is it true? Did you hex Demdike?" "I don't know," I said with difficulty. He leaned forward. "Are you a witch, Issy?" I said, "No, sir." But it was a lie. The truth was, I didn't know. "Have you been praying?" he asked. "Every night." "Has God told you what to do?" I shook my head. "God has not helped you then?" The parson frowned unhappily. But the fact that God had deserted me seemed to make his mind up. He took my hand. "Issy," he said, "I do believe you're a witch." I stared down at the table. It never crossed my mind to doubt him. The parson was a man of God. If he said I was a witch, then I was. And yet I didn't hate God. I didn't love the devil. It was like a terrible trick. "Do I have to go to Melvin Tower?" I asked him shakily. He shook his head grimly. "You must come with me to see the magistrate and confess." I took my hand away. Was this his comfort? I didn't fear the law of the God. Nat had brought me up to believe I would be forgiven for sins if I repented, but I did fear the law of man. I knew what they did to witches. Even confessed witches had secrets in their hearts and needed to be tormented out of their fire and broken bones. In the end they were hanged. I didn't want to die. Above all, I didn't want to die in a torture chamber under the magistrate's house in Cologne. Parson Holden was not a bad man. He protected me over the years. I could see that he was frightened for me, perhaps of me. I shook my head. "Even you don't believe me any more," I began tearfully, and he took back my hand and shushed me. "I believe you have a good heart," he replied, "but it means nothing. There are witches who work for good, but still their souls are Satan's. The devil prefers the bad, so long as you get their souls in the end. Why should he care? The Bible does not distinguish, he quoted. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. I heard those words often enough from the pulpit of the church or shouts at Demdike in the streets. As he said them, he curiously looked at me. But parson, I never made a pact with the devil, I pleaded. You know nothing of life before you came here, he pointed out. It was true. But even so, soul or no soul, excuse me, witch or no witch, I'd rather take my chances in Malkin Tower than end up in Lancaster jail. He knew what I was thinking. Are you frightened of dying, Issy? He asked. God will help you die if you confess. If you don't, there is hell in the hereafter. Why should I fear hell? I said bitterly. You know what they do to witches. There's always one last thing to drag out of them. He nodded. That's no small thing, he added, but it may not come to that. What's happened to you isn't your fault. I'll testify to that. I know Magistrate Noel. He's an honest man, is he? The witches in Pendle have finished. Badawin has just gone over our heads and entrusted in Lancaster, and they've made him witch-finder. His permission to interrogate. You know what he is. No one is safe now. If you confess, I hope I can save you. You've done no harm. You're ignorant of your circumstances. I'm sure you'll be let go. But if you wait for Badawin to take you, I know his sort, they like their work. Sir, do you really think you can save me? I begged him. He frowned. I can't promise. Badawin is determined, but Issy, you know whatever they do, you cannot last long. Hell is forever. See? He took hold of the candle that was on the table between us, gave me a curiously sickly glance, and took my hand in his. I guessed what was coming. I could see sweat on him. He didn't want to do it, but he had his duty to my soul and to his. One small hand, he said. In hell, it would be your whole body. A few seconds. In hell forever. He took my hand tightly, in two big ones, and then held my wrists over the candle flame. I shrieked, but he still held me tight. I began to howl and pull away. I clawed at his face, but he was such a strong man, and he pulled me back into the flame. Confess, he grated. The door burst open. Nat dashed in, all the years shaken off me, flung his hand across the priest's face, knocked him off his chair and onto the floor, and pulled me away. I backed into the wall and put my wound onto my mouth. Behind me, the priest picked himself up and wiped his mouth. There was blood on his beard. Nat took my hand and examined the burn. To do that to a child, he cried. This is your God, is it? He could be thrown in jail and flogged for hitting Parson Holden, who looked stunned as he picked himself up. He was not used to this treatment. He looked at the blood in his hand. God will forgive you for striking a churchman, he said thickly. But will he forgive you? Demanded Nat. It was my duty, my business to take care of her soul, not her flesh. Then leave her flesh alone. The priest frowned. This house is under a curse, he said. I won't tell the magistrate that you struck me. I'll see you in church on Sunday. I'll speak to Issy again then. He took his cape, walked out into the rain. Nat took my hand and examined the wound. There was a black ring, a red patch as big as my palm. The wound was already weeping. You must never fall into the hands of men like that, said Nat bitterly. End of chapter 7.